Welcome to the Introduction to PODD video. This is where I'm going to go over a few basics of what the PODD is, some of the ideas behind it, and a little bit of how it's used. PODD is a partner-assisted communication system, and that means that the communication partner is the one turning all the pages and saying all of the selected icons, phrases, and sentences. If the individual does not select icons for him or herself, so for example, if they're still learning how to use the book and haven't started pointing themselves, it's the communication partner's job to guess what the individual might want to say. PODD can be set up for scanning, eye gaze, and direct access in either paper or tech form, such as the Tobii device or an iPad app. For this video, I'm focusing on a direct access paper book with 12 icons per page. Direct access just means that the book is used by directly touching or accessing the pages. Now I'll go into some basic PODD do's and don'ts. Taking the PODD everywhere is the very first step of using the PODD. Take it to the grocery store, grandma's house, church, the bathroom, bedtime, everywhere. When children are learning to speak, we don't stop talking to them, exposing them to language, or take away their voice. The PODD is their voice, so it needs to be wherever they are. Use the PODD as much as you possibly can. Even if you're just saying one word or pointing to one icon in order to vocally say an entire sentence. The more you use it, the more the individual you're teaching will use it, and the more you'll be able to communicate with them. You'll also be able to get to and use more pages and icons the more you use it. To start with, you'll only be using the first several pages, but those specifics will be covered in a separate video. Be excited about using the PODD to communicate. People have a crazy way of telling you if they are truly excited about something or are just going through the motions because you have to. Think of how excited people sound when they talk to babies. Now, if you have an older person using the PODD book, you shouldn't be talking to them like a baby, but that's the level of excitement you need to have when using the PODD, or the individual is not going to buy into using it as their method of communication. This is a big point for the do's and the don'ts side. Do make the PODD a communication system, but don't make it work. The PODD should be used to communicate back and forth with others. How are you today? To express needs. I have to go to the bathroom. To express opinions. I don't like it when Uncle Bill comes over, he's loud. And to request things. I want pizza. You don't ever want to make the individual use the PODD in order to get something. For example, if you've seen the individual use the PODD to say they have to go to the bathroom, and you know they have to go, don't force them to use the PODD in order to say it. Just take them to the bathroom when you see their actions. Same goes for requesting. If the individual always gets a cookie after lunch, don't make it a requirement that they have to use the PODD to ask for a cookie. When you do this, the PODD turns into work, and that individual will not take the PODD to social gatherings such as a birthday party because they have learned the wrong purpose for the PODD. They don't want to work at a birthday party, they want to communicate. Don't try to force using the PODD. Just continue modeling it yourself, and eventually you'll see an outcome from the individual you're working with. Everyone learns language in their own time. You wouldn't learn a foreign language in a week, so we shouldn't expect someone to learn the PODD in a short amount of time either. For some individuals, it may take weeks, months, or even years to see significant results. I'm currently seeing an increase of about 5 interactions per month with the PODD, and most of those are of the student just touching all over the first page or using both hands, so there's no distinct icon selections the majority of the time. Just be patient. It'll come eventually. Again, don't make the PODD work. Focus on meaningful conversation, things the individual wants to talk about, or find ways to tell the individual about your day. It's really those personal and meaningful conversations that answer the question, why should I start using this thing? Don't limit vocabulary. The PODD does seem overwhelming at times when it's all put together in one big book, but it really is important to have all of the pages. You will only start modeling the first several pages because it is overwhelming for anyone to try and use the huge book all at once. The purpose is to give the individual the opportunity to see, hear, and use new words, and to use a variety of words to express their opinion. If you need to change vocabulary, consider changing some of the words to be more age appropriate. For example, you can change the word yucky to gross or disgusting for older individuals. Think of what their peers would say. As a 20-year-old, are they going to sound silly saying yucky in a conversation with other people their age? Probably. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. We all make them every day when we're having conversations. Think of how often you can't think of a word, use the wrong word, or say something totally off in left field. We're learning, and so are they. Show that it's okay to make mistakes and how to correct yourself using the PODD. That will be covered in another video. Feeling overwhelmed yet? Don't worry, I've been there. Sometimes I still get overwhelmed or mixed up trying to say something. It's all about being willing to put in the effort to give someone else a voice. So many individuals don't have one, and I think that's incredibly sad, don't you? Make a difference, push through the struggles and uncomfortableness, and soon you'll be amazed what you can do. I have something to say. Thank you. More to say. Please, more. Thank you, and please check back soon for more videos.